Okay, well, things didn't quite go as planned in terms of me recording a little bit more of the actual work of getting this fender off. And that was kind of because I was downloading all the video that was stored on this camcorder, and it took, I don't know, 5 hours or something like that. I wasn't going to wait for that to all be done. So as you can see, I have made progress here. I have removed my cold air intake apparatus and the paraphernalia, and I've got the fuse box bracket off, and miraculously I have the battery tray off. Of course, the battery tray did fight me, as I expected it to, but not as much as I thought. I expected that all of the bolts would have to be drilled out, and as it turned out that I only had to drill out one bolt, and it was the bolt there. And of course, that's the most difficult bolt to drill out because it is not straight up and down access for my drill. So I had to kind of drill it out at an angle, and ultimately had to use a Dremel tool to finish the job, so to speak. So it took me a good 2 hours of struggling to get that one bolt out. And the other bolts with the U-clip nuts came out without too much of a struggle. And so we have this mystery black box down here in this fender mounting bracket. I don't know actually what that black box is. It runs up and over to the other side of the engine, and I don't know what the hell it does. It looks like it goes to the intake or something. But it's bolted onto that bracket, and a bolt, or screwed on maybe? Well, it's a bolt, and it's rusted out, so I'm going to have to cut that off. But it looks like it's only one pseudo bolt that is holding it on. Doesn't look like I'm going to have to take the computer off, and so we are continuing here. I do have some of these electrical stuff that I still need to remove, and then we can actually get to the meat of the matter, which is to start taking this off. Of course, I will have to take the blinker electrical connector off, the side light electrical connector off. And as you can see here, I've jacked up the car and I've removed the wheel for ease of access under here. I also was expecting that this would come off, this here would come off first, and it's rusted on. These, the bolts that hold on the fender flare are I don't know what you call them, but they're more like pins now. They're not nuts and bolts. The nuts are whatever. I'm going to have to cut that off from the inside, and it's easier to do that with the fender off the car, so I'm going to leave the fender flare on the fender for now, and then after the fender is off, I will remove the fender flare using, again, the Dremel and a cutoff tool to sever all the bolts. I may have a problem over here because two of these are no, one down there at the bottom I think is a nutsert. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So got to get that little step thing off as well, and that's basically where we are. It's actually, as I'm sure other people who have documented their efforts to replace these fenders have noted, the passenger side fender is easier to remove than the driver's side fender with all of that wonderful stuff on it. So we're gonna continue here, and I need to work in the wheel well, and I'll see if I can't record any of that. It's gonna be awkward, so well, if it doesn't work, then you won't see it. So that's where I'm at. On to the next, I guess. Okay, let's see if we can do this together. one of the 4 bolts that is securing the fender to the bracket behind it that was supporting the battery tray is missing. So we have 1, 2, 3 13 millimeter bolts to remove, and we also have this little screw and bolt thing, which on the other side the head is rusted away. So I'm not going to mess around with it. I'm just going to cut it off. So let's do that, shall we? Okay, so that black box should be free. Now let's see if these bolts come out, or if those U-nuts. Ha! I did soak the other side with penetrant, and it doesn't look like it penetrated. So. I don't see any wetness. Oh well. Okay, cool. All right. So that chore is done. And we also need to remove this piece of covering, so let's do that. I need the tool. Okay. Alright, that doesn't want to let go. There we go. Okay, that's off. Lots more rust to see. So, while we're under here, let me just point out these 3 nuts have to come off. And where am I? These, did I say nuts? I did. Bolts. These 3 bolts also have to come off. And then the nose is free, although as you can see here, I have some electrical to remove. Well, I need wire cutters for that one. And this comes out like that. And there's a connector over here. But first, up a little bit more. I gotta cut that tie wrap. It's even still there. Why can't you see that? If I move the camera, come on, come back to me, light. Come to the light. That tie wrap that's hanging down needs to be cut. Okay, I don't think you need to see me cut a tie wrap. I think you know what that's all about. And then take the side light connector off, and then I can take those bolts off for the nose. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll be back. Okay. So we're going to take these 3 bolts off the old-fashioned way because there's not enough clearance. That was just a punch that fell through. I'm not losing car parts, or at least not yet. Okay. These are all 13mm bolts. bolt wasn't that tight. Now, take a look at this. This is a bracket. Don't lose that bracket. You'll be sorry. Now this bracket definitely will have to be de-rusted and repainted. And I did that on the other side too. That was one of the 6 brackets that I did the electrolysis bath on. The thing's coming out or is it stuck? And then put on 6 coats of paint. And then when I was reinstalling that bracket, I chipped the paint. See that? Not in good shape. Okay. Now, how can I reposition you people? Because first of all, let's see if it could even work. I could use Big Bertha here. Yeah, Big Bertha will fit. Okay, so come with me. Oh. Oops. Who turned out the lights? I'm not sure if this is going to hold. You people are definitely in my way. Sorry about that, you missed that. Okay. Bumping the camera. Now, this last bolt I am not going to remove, but I am going to loosen it. And the reason for that is when I take the last 5 bolts off the other side of this fender, I don't want this thing to just drop. So once I have those bolts off where the fender meets the chassis or where the fender meets the tub, then I will remove this bolt and lift the fender off. But in the meantime, I have a few miscellaneous nuts to remove related to either the air intake or the electrical stuff, so I'm gonna remove them. You don't need to see that. Now, the 4 bolts that are holding the fender on at the tub are just way too freaking awkward. I'm not going to be able to record them. Sorry. They run along the outside edge and they're tough to get to on the best of circumstances, and you guys are just going to be way too much in the way. So you will rejoin this exercise after I have removed the bolts holding the fender on to the tub of the car. And then we will take the fender off together. How does that sound? Does that sound like a deal? It's the only one I've got to offer. All right, we'll see you in a sec. Bye. Okay, progress is progress. We've got all of the bolts off that we need to get off. And we've got all of the electrical crap disconnected from the fender, I think. I hope. And so we have 2 bolts left. whole fender should come off. So, where's my wrench? Let's see if this works. I think I need a longer one. That'll be okay. Man, some of these tie wraps are super sharp. Oh, come on. Ugh. That is a tie wrap cutting me to shreds. This knuckle joint thing. I do need a longer freaking attachment. My medium extender bar is on the ground. I just found it. Ugh. Oh, yeah. One more bolt, the bolt that we left on in the front, loose. It's free, it's free. I think. Uh-oh, I'm about to lose battery. Let's get this thing off right away. There it is. Oops, there it is. What a fucking mess. Okay. You see me take it off. Now we recondition our brackets. I'm going to remove, where are you, zoom? Zoom, zoom. Where's my hand? I'm going to take this bracket off and recondition it. put it through the electrolysis bath, get all the rust off it, repaint it like the other side. Here's that black box I was referring to before. I don't know what this is. I'll eventually find out. And I'll mention it in an update coming. But there are 4 bolts holding this bracket on. They're not rusted, so it should be easy to get off. Famous last words. And the tub around this area looks good. It doesn't look like it's got any rust going on under there. So won't have to do as much chassis prep for this. So we're cooking with fuel oil. I guess that's it for now. I will update you accordingly. See ya. Bye. Okay, quickie update. This is the Fender mounting bracket that goes on the lower end of the tub. I have cleaned it up, and it has enough perimeter rust. This is too big to sink into a vat of evapor rust. I'm going to do the full core press and do the electrolysis on this and get rid of all of the rust and repaint it black and then put it back on. This will probably soak for 3 days in the electrolysis bath, is my guess, but we'll see. Anyway, in the meantime, we've had a couple of issues. One, can you see that? That bolt snapped off in that nut, and that bolt, there's my light, that bolt is there. Come on, focus. So that bolt has snapped off. It might still be long enough to use. I haven't looked on the inside of the tub to see if there's a bolt or if that's a welded on stud or whatever. But there might be enough there to get a purchase and reconnect without having to get drastic. And I need more light. I'll be right back. Are we focused? Okay. Let's have a little movie fun here. Aziz, light! Okay. The other problem that we had is that the 2 bottom bolts for that mounting bracket snapped off, which is not great. Because those nuts, there's no access to the back end of those nuts, and those are really, they're not nutserts literally, but this is sheet metal, right? So whatever on the back end, I don't think it's a full-blown nut. I think it's a nutsert-like. And so getting these bolts out and preserving the threads, I haven't come up with a smart solution for that yet. I'm doing some research to see what various ideas I can come up with, either YouTube or the interweb, to try and get those out. So I'm not going to rush particularly until I'm satisfied that I've got a strategy that's worth trying. There are a couple things that I've thought of already, which is to not try to reverse them out, but maybe try to get them to turn inward, assuming that they are rusted on the end that we can't see, and that it might be easier to get them out if we just kind of try to find a way to screw the remnants of these bolts inward, and just get them to pop out the back end, so to speak, or just do the old-fashioned, just drill it out. Like I said, I'm not sure what I'm going to do here, but that one way or another, those two suckers have to come out. So I fear that was going to take me some time. Also, we do have some corrosion forming here. Fortunately, it's in the early stages. There's no rot. And so we'll certainly treat that. And that is old, treated. I mentioned it on the last video for the driver's side that the spot welds in particularly seem to rust first. So I put that treatment on a couple of years ago, and I think I'm going to enhance that treatment while I deal with that area of corrosion. Put a wire wheel to this, and there's very little to be concerned about here, which is good. And so that's it. And the other thing that I still have to deal with is the rat's nest. All of that is auxiliary, except for the big wiring harness, which it goes to the main fuse box. All of that little wire stuff is all part of the auxiliary lighting on the car. So I've got roof lights, I've got mid lights, and I've got the fog lights. And they are all wired one way or the other through this rat's nest. Some of this stuff I did do work on, but was never really satisfied with it. And the work that I did was basically to add the proper relays so that there was no risk of fire inside the chassis if something shorted out or whatever. So that I did do, but obviously this is a mess, and I need to straighten it up and neaten it up a bit and get it out of the way. So I'm going to do that too. And so, you know, we still got plenty to do before the new Fender goes back on. And one step at a time, right? So that's it for this update. See you later. Aziz, go to sleep. Bye.